Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Big Guy, Little Guy podcast, and welcome back to Sports Hour. Oh, man. We had a good week of football, I'll tell you that. Or weekend, I guess. No, week. Week's fine. But I'm excited. We've got some good stats to go over. We got some good games to go over. It's going to be a very entertaining episode. So make sure y'all stick around. Make sure y'all share too and get this going. But okay, let's get into it. Week 3 of the NFL happened, and we'll get into college football later. If you know the drill. Washington falls asleep against the Bills, 43-21. You know me. I'm a big Washington Redskins guy, and this one hurt. This one hurt quite a bit. My boys did not perform as well as they should have. And it's all right, This was Taylor Heineke's really first bad game with us, so it's nice to get that out of the way. Hopefully he doesn't have too many more bad games because this is only his fourth start in the NFL. But I guess we'll just have to see, just have to wait and see what's going on moving forward. But no, seriously, he started out really bad, but he got a little better. I'm not sure how good his stats would have been if he didn't have that 73-yard touchdown to Gibson, our running back. But I don't know. Like I said, this is his fourth start, so we'll just have to see going forward. I still like him as our starting quarterback over what we have. And our defense, I mean, when you keep our defense out as long as they did, they're going to... I would like less than 40 points, but it happens. Our run attack, our on offense run Russian just this has got me speechless. I'll tell you that. I expected a better run offense than we have right now, and it's sad. And I expected a better defense. Our defense has been very lackluster compared to last season. At least the end of last season, Hopefully we can pick up some steam going into it, but I just don't know, man. Our defensive line is not performing to the top 5 that everybody anticipated it. So I don't know. Our offense just really stunk it up in this one, Obviously, Heineke threw two interceptions, and which, I mean, he didn't do that bad. He was like 14 of 24, which isn't great, but it's not bad either. So I don't know. By far the Bills' best win this season, and you got to give them credit to their defense, and most of all to Josh Allen coming out throwing for almost nearly 400 yards and he had 5 total touchdowns. He threw 4 and ran for 1. This was his breakout game of this season. I think this game will set him off because early on in mine and Anthony's predictions, we kind of said that, or I said that Josh Allen would be my MVP of this season, and it's not looking like that right now. But we'll just have to see going forward. I hate saying that because I say it so much, but I mean, Josh Allen performed very good against a very good defensive line, and I don't even think we had a sack in that game, which is really pathetic on our part because I know the Bills' offensive line is not that good, but you gotta give them credit because they really stepped up and they really just dominated the Redskins, and I hate seeing it so much because we're a much better team than 43 to, what was it, 21. That it should have been like 24-21, but we kept our defense out there too long and too early in the game, and it set the tone for the whole game. I mean, I think they had 21 points in the first quarter. Just cannot have that. That's unacceptable from any team, but especially this good of a defense. This is where we built our whole team on last year. This is what got us into the playoffs. Barely, with a 7-9 record, but I don't care. I mean, we got to the playoffs. Moving on, going to the NFC East battle. Dallas Cowboys shot some Eagles out of the sky in this one, 41-21. Not a good game for the Eagles. This is a terrific game for the Cowboys. This is a much needed game for the Cowboys because their defense has, well, not this season, but all of last season they were kind of that they come out very flat. They come out just not looking like they wanted to play ball, honestly, and it's nice to see them. It's nice to see them change that this season, and they've really come out and played. I mean, they lead the league in turnovers forced. They've had like nearly 4 a game these first 3 games, and yesterday was no different. And a big part of their defense stepping up is Trayvon Diggs. This is a guy who wasn't that great last season, but granted, he was a rookie coming in and did not play very well at all. And this season, he has stepped up tremendously. I expect him to be Pro Bowl bound this season. And if he keeps up what he's doing, if he can get like 10 INTs and a few touchdowns, he may, and the Cowboys have a great record, he may win Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not saying he's going to, because it's very hard for a DB to win Defensive Player of the Year. They have to be absolutely outstanding. But as of right now, he's absolutely outstanding. Trayvon Diggs has 3 interceptions in the first 3 games, 1 each game. That is a terrific start to this season for him. Something the Cowboys really needed out of him, which I would not have guessed that he would be playing this well, because he just didn't look like he played great last season, you know. But he come in and finally transitioned from college to NFL this season. That's for sure. Last year, I guess, took a toll on him. This year, playing absolutely out of his mind. And talking about somebody else who played very well this game, Ezekiel Elliott ran like old Zeke this game. He really did. He came in. The yards aren't great with 95, but I watched a lot of this game, and I mean, this was old Zeke. There was one time down in the goal line where he just straight up squared up a defender and drove the defender 4 or 5 yards, and he nearly scored, but he didn't get there. But he did have 2 scores on the day. And this is the Zeke the Cowboys need on offense. This is the Zeke that gets the offense really rolling. And, of course, Dak just outdueled Hurts the whole game, which I guess when you're taking on a defense that is on fire like the Cowboys are, there's not much you can do. Hurts did have a decent game. He had 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he had those 2 dreadful interceptions and one. I'm not sure if both of them were pick sixes. I know that Trayvon Diggs did have a pick 6, but Dak had 238 for 3 touchdowns. He did have 2 fumbles and a fumble lost in the end zone, which ended up leading to a score by Fletcher Cox. That was very early on in the game. But Dak just, I think he was 21 of 26. Just a great performance by Dak. Great performance by the Cowboys. I think they took the lead in the East for sure. They are definitely looking the best after 3 weeks, because they played very well against the Broncos week 1 on Thursday Night Football. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Then they come out and didn't play great against the Chargers, but got enough to win 20-17 against the Chargers. And then this week they just blew out the Eagles, which wasn't really it was a no contest, to be honest. You got to give a lot of that to the defense, because the defense early on was just slaughtering the Eagles. It was not a great game to watch if you're an Eagles fan, for sure. Moving on to the Bucks, my Super Bowl pick. Lose to a red hot Rams team, 34-24. Not a great day for the Bucks, especially their defense. They just got ate up all day by Matthew Stafford. It was it was not a good day for Brady either. I mean, he fumbled once, but I mean, he didn't throw no picks or anything, and he had over 400 yards, but he only had 2 total touchdowns. We'll get a little bit into stats as we go on. What really hurt the Bucks in this game was having no rushing attack between Leonard Fournette and Jones. They had 19 total yards in rushing on 9 attempts. That is unacceptable. That is very unacceptable for a team of this caliber. And I said last week maybe this team is not falling apart, but there's some stuff going on that offense between the skill players and Brady that's just not working out right now. That's for sure. We'll get into it a little bit. And when Brady leads your team in rushing yards, there's something bad wrong with your rushing game right now. Brady had 14 yards. I think Jones had 11, and Fournette had 8. I think it was when Brady leads you in rushing yards, you need to fix something on your offensive line for sure. And I don't like seeing Brady throw for 55 passes in a game, as old as he is at 44. But it's bad. They need to fix their rushing game. That is their biggest downfall, and their defense. Their defense is not playing great. I don't know what is going on, but this is not the same defense that we saw last season in the Super Bowl that stopped Patty Mahomes. This is a struggling defense right now, and it's weird because they retained all 22 starters, so there's nothing different. I know they have a couple injuries in the secondary, but you've got to play better than this. Brady Gronk, I think it's causing friction in this offense because we saw early, I think it was right after halftime, Brady come out. They drove the ball down inside the 10-yard line, and this was after Gronk got speared early on and come out, and then he come back in, and Brady went to him like 3 times in a row down in the red zone. And there was a couple passes where you're like, Brady, well, Gronk's getting triple teamed down here. There's got to be somebody open or a better opportunity. But I think Brady's trying to force it to Gronk. I'm not sure what the motive is, because I think they've already got the most touchdowns by a duo in NFL history. So I don't know what the motive would be. But man, we saw early in the game. After all that controversy with him keep throwing it to Gronk, Mike Evans was visibly upset with him. He was over there on the sideline, like kind of slamming his helmet on the bench, and you can see him jawing. It didn't really show who he's jawing to, but I mean, Brady's got to spread the ball around better, and I feel like he's picking and choosing who he wants to throw a touchdown to, and half of the time it's Gronk so far. And that's unacceptable for me. Just play the game. Don't worry about your stats. Don't worry about who you want to get the ball to, because there's an extra game on the schedule. An extra game could make or break you. So it's tough, but let's move on to the other side of the ball with Matthew. Went absolutely off, right along with Deshaun Jackson, who used to be a Washington Redskin. I love him. He's a great player. Arguably the best deep route runner in history. He's got, I think, the most 50-yard touchdowns, and he added one in this game with a 75-yard touchdown bomb. Them two together, it's a dangerous combo, especially if the Rams can kind of get a little bit of a run game going, because I think Matthew Stafford's the best. It's stupid to say that, but any quarterback's the best when they got a run game going and they can throw off play action. But Matthew Stafford really is. He's a monster when it comes to that, and he showed it this game. 343 yards, 4 touchdowns, and Djax had 120 yards and a touchdown. So they're clicking on all cylinders right now. Can they keep it up? We'll see. But It's looking very good for the Rams right now. Moving on to the Packers game-winning field goal against the 49ers. Man, this was a great game. If you watched it, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo led his team down to a touchdown to make it 28-27, and it was 37 seconds left in the quarter, and everybody just thought it was over. But I guess you just can't doubt Aaron Rodgers like you just can't doubt Brady. You know, it was not Brady. Rodgers went down, threw 2 passes, got inside his kicker's range, which is Crosby, and he nailed it. No question. He's made like 20 something straight, including the postseason. A fantastic kicker. Probably a top 2, 3 in the league. I say right behind Justin Tucker, who I will talk about later on. He's had a fantastic. Rodgers played okay in this game. It wasn't too spectacular. It wasn't like a 5 touchdown performance in this one, but Rodgers had 261 yards and 2 touchdowns, and a good 60 yards or maybe 50 come from that last drive to win the game. So he played great. And like I said earlier, Jimmy G had a great last drive. And he he did everything he could to win, and just defense couldn't help him out in the end. And that's what I want to get into now. That last Rodgers drive, was it a great offensive drive, or was it just bad defense? And I got to look at this as bad defense. It was horrible. They played a lot of they played off a lot, and I know you don't want to smother your defenders because they could just blow right past you, but you've got to set up better for this. This was not good defense by any means, and it showed, and they lost. So that's it. Chiefs lose 2 in a row as they are defeated by the Chargers, 30-24. Another fantastic game, another late touchdown. Justin Herbert, is this his breakout game of the season? Because when he was at Washington and Dallas, he did not play particularly well. A total of 37 points from his offense in those 2 games. So this was definitely a much better performance on his end. Granted, against a very bad Chiefs defense, but it's through 4 touchdowns. You can't argue with that, no matter what. Are the circus plays for the Chiefs finally running out? You watch all these highlights of Patrick Mahomes and his wacky plays and stuff, and he'll throw off his back foot all the way to Tyreek Hill, whoever. Most of the time it's Tyreek Hill, let's be honest. But the last 2 games, Tyreek has not performed well. I mean, he's got, I think, like 80 yards in the last 2 games. Held in check the last 2 games for sure. But when you look at this, I mean, all the circus play. I mean, Patrick Mahomes threw one that you were like, oh, well, he's probably going to complete this. Just how defenses have been playing it. And he threw a couple picks, and I hope it kind of goes away because I hate the circus plays. I hate the very lucky crap of plays that are happening. But it's fantastic. Patrick Mahomes, let's just be honest, did not play well, and I'm glad he didn't play well because I don't like the Chiefs. I don't like their offense. I don't like the luck aspect of their offense, and I think Pat Mahomes he can be a great quarterback, but when you're running backwards and just lobbing it off your back foot every time, I mean, we saw it in the Super Bowl. Their luck expired very badly against the Bucks, and now they've started off 1-2 in this 1-2 in this season so far. So they're gonna have to change something. And my prayers are definitely up for Reed. He the coach for the Chiefs ended up going to the hospital right after the game. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't read anything up on it, but I think it had something to do with his heart, if I'm not mistaken. But if it's not, I'm sorry. I don't know a whole lot. But either way, I know for a fact he went to the hospital and was in rough shape. But I don't expect him to be on the sidelines next couple games, which could very well hurt the Chiefs in the long run. But I don't know what happened to the Chiefs this game. You know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled again. Their offense is just turnover machines right now. Tyreek Hill ended up fumbling one time, but their running game was still there, though. You know, they had over 100 yards. Patrick Mahomes had 45 yards rushing. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 100 yards exactly. I don't know why they didn't continue to go with the running game throughout the whole game, but I guess when you have someone like Patrick Mahomes, you just want him to do his thing. I guess I don't know. I maybe I'm just too old school for today's NFL offenses. I don't know. I like running the ball. I like getting square and just running it. Next point, Clyde having trouble holding on to the ball. Second fumble this season that I know of. I didn't really keep up with the stats last game. It seems to be a problem right now for the Chiefs, and they have to get it taken care of, or these close games are just going to keep falling out of their hands and out of their reach. Moving on to the Chiefs' rival Raiders, and another one that was very good. Another great game this season. Granted, it probably shouldn't have been a great game because they beat the Dolphins 31-28 in overtime. And it was a fun overtime because both teams in overtime hit 2 field goals, and then the Raiders just ended up taking it at the end. I love seeing the success of the Raiders right now. I like John Gruden. I like Derek Carr. I always thought he was very underrated. But I like seeing this offense. Carr started off bad, I'm not going to lie. But he found a way to win. That's all that matters in this league, is finding that way to win. He found it. Found it for the 3rd straight week. Hopefully they can keep it going. I'm not sure who they take on next week. But shout out to my running back, Peyton Barber. Been in the league for a few years, but he was with the Washington Redskins last year, I believe, and had some subpar carries, you know, nothing too great, you know. He was just there when my guys needed a rest, and he come in and played an absolute beast of a game. 111 yards on 23 carries and a touchdown. I know it's not crazy stats. I understand that, but when you're coming from this is like the 3rd or 4th guy on this depth chart because Jacobs is hurt, and him to come in and just absolutely ball out like this is something awesome and spectacular that I love seeing. We usually see it once or twice a season, to be honest. You see that one guy that's been all over the league and just comes in and has a great season. And I hope he can stay this way, because it would be nice to see someone like him become a Pro Bowler, and he would really help this Raiders defense or offense out a lot. Well, and their defense, but mostly their offense. Dolphins having something to build on the rest of the season, though. With their running game, that they ran very well against, I would say, a pretty decent Raiders defense. Because I mean, that's what we think of when we think of John Gruden, was a 2002 Buccaneers defense. You know, with Warren Sapp, Richard Seymour, I think that's his first name. Rondé Barber, John Lynch, Brooks. The list goes on, man. And it was a good day for the Dolphins running the ball. Can they keep it up? I don't know, especially with Brissett at the quarterback, who used to play for the Colts, I believe. Here we go. We're getting into the speed rounds now. I'm just going to kind of go through the scores of all the other games and maybe hint at some stuff. Ravens survived the Lions 19-17 with the longest kick in the history of the NFL and a 66-yarder by Justin Tucker. This was, you can say it was a lucky kick, but he still got the leg and got it there. He did hit the bar and it bounced over, but man, 66 yards is incredible. I thought it was incredible when Pater, or it was Prater, that hit like a 54 or 5, I can't remember. Fantastic. I played my uncle in Madden because we used to play a lot back in the day, but since we've gotten older, it doesn't come as much. And he come over and he picked the Ravens and he beat me with a 60-yard Justin Tucker field goal. So this was a little painful for me to see. No, all fun, but great game by Justin Tucker. Lamar Jackson, not that impressive to me. Again, not a great game, at least as a quarterback running the ball. I mean, he had like 58 yards, I believe. So the running game wasn't as spectacular as it was the previous weeks, but they still got the dub. So moving on, we got the Falcons get their first win of the season by defeating the Giants 17-14. Don't know how the Giants lost. I mean, if you usually you can look at the stats and be like, okay, so their third down was not very good. Like the Vikings a couple weeks ago. I was like, how did they lose? Because they played so well, but you look at the third down, it was bad. I don't know how they lost this game. I didn't watch this game because I didn't think it would be much of a game. I mean, they led in every statistical category, and they still lost. It's got to be a first time in history. They didn't turn the ball over. I think they had one fumble, but it was equalized with the Falcons having one fumble. So I don't know. This was they must have, I don't know, man. It was pretty mind blowing. But moving on, Saints outperformed the Pats 28-13. Not a good day for the Pats. The running game wasn't there. Mac Jones, his first bad game as a rookie. You could say he played it like a rookie this game. 270 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks. Just not a great day. As if you're a Pats fan, I guess it's never a great day if your team loses. But I mean, there's some people call moral victories over stuff, but this definitely wasn't one. Their defense got beat by Jameis Winston, and Kamara had a pretty good day. But moving on, we got the Bengals defeat rival Steelers 24-10. Oh man, Steelers, what y'all doing? Y'all can't you can't have your old quarterback. I hate to use the word old, but it's clearly evident that Big Ben is suffering from father time a bit, and they're you cannot have a 30, I think he's 37, 38-year-old throwing 58 times. It's just, Big Ben didn't play horrible. He had 38 of 58, but 58. Oh, it goes back to the Bucks game. You can't have your 44-year-old throwing 55 passes. That's just, you've got to figure out a way to get your run game going. And Najee Harris had a good receiving game, but rushing, he was kind of non-existent. Has had not really a great season so far, averaging less than like 3.5 yards per carry, which is not good. Okay, moving on. Colts stay winless as they fall to the Titans 25-16. Carson Wentz had a bad day in this one. I think I will get to it later on, but did not have a good day. Maybe it was his ankles. Maybe he didn't come back healthy as he wanted to be, because I didn't watch this game. I didn't really care about this game. This wasn't on my radar. Jags continue to struggle against the Cardinals, 31-19. Kind of a bad day for Kyle Murray. We this season we've seen Kyle Murray go for 4 or 5 touchdowns each week. This week had 1 rushing touchdown, I believe, maybe a passing. I'm not 100% sure, but he's got to eliminate the turnovers because he threw another interception, and don't want him to see. I don't want to see him be that quarterback. Browns with the Bears, 26-6. Okay. Can I stop burping, please? Okay. Browns with the Bears, 26-6. Fields played pretty bad, which this is his first start and against a very good Brown squad. You can say what you want about Cleveland Browns, but they're a decent squad right now. And 80 total yards of offense, 0 touchdowns, and he got sacked 9 times. 9 times. That's crazy. And 4.5 was by Myles Garrett, which we'll talk about later on. They've got to do something. I didn't watch this game, but I've got to assume that Fields was maybe running around a little bit too much, holding the ball a little bit too much. But moving on to the Vikings, get their first dub of the season over the Seattle Seahawks, 30-17. Very good game for Cousins, which he's had very good games this whole season. Just could not pull out a win because maybe his defense did not do well against the the Cardinals last week. I don't know why I said Bears, but Cousins gets his first dub of the season, and hopefully they can build on this. Their defense can build on this because holding Russell Wilson to 17 points, it's tough, man. That's a tough order for your defense, and that they fulfilled it perfectly. Panthers run away with a W against the Texans on Thursday Night Football. This probably should have been first on the talk about list, but it's not a big game. 24-9. Is Sam Darnold the answer the Panthers need? They had Teddy Bridgewater last season and didn't do this good, and they're 3-0 right now. That is crazy to me. But we'll answer that question a little later. Okay, let's move on to our segment, the good and the bad of week 3. Love this segment. Josh Allen. Oh yeah, I'm starting off with the good. Josh Allen shows his greatness in this game against Washington. 358 yards. I think he had like 16 rushing or something like that. But 358 passing yards, 5 total touchdowns, 4 passing, 1 running. Dude had a game against my defense, and I hate it. But maybe this will put him into the MVP debate later on, because our defense is not bad, which when you stay on the field most of the game, you are bad, I guess. Moving on to Matthew Stafford is the answer the Rams needed. It was a question last week. This week, it's a statement. 343 yards and 4 touchdowns against Tom Brady's Buccaneers. Outdueled Tom Brady to the last second. And his defense outperformed Brady. It was a very good game for the Rams. A very big win for the Rams to show that they're here and they're very well in contention for a championship. I don't know if I could put him on this list, but I'm going to. Zeke shuts the haters up with this performance. 17 carries, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The stats don't really jump out at you, but when you watch this game, he was running the way I haven't seen him run in a couple years. Helmet to helmet, getting low and just driving your opponent. And he definitely did this. He was had a great game. Mike Williams having a great season so far. 7 catches for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns in their win against the Chiefs. Oh, yeah, he plays for the Chargers. I should probably name who they play for. And we might start that next week. I don't know. Hopefully Anthony will be with us next week. But 7 catches, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. Definitely helped the Chargers over these Chiefs. Myles Garrett, I always like to put one defensive guy on each list. Myles Garrett's career day had 7 total tackles, 4.5 sacks. This dude was on fire this whole game. And maybe it was Justin Fields holding the ball too long, running around. I don't know. Maybe it's just the Bears line sucks. But he had an amazing day. This has been a crazy season. We get Jamie Collins in week 1 having 5 sacks, and now we get Myles Garrett with 4.5. That's nuts in one season. Let's move on to the bad of week 3. We got Mac Jones shows his rookie. He shows that he is a rookie. Let's just be honest. 270 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Kind of collapsed in this game against the Saints, which the Saints defense is no one you want to pick on because they are great defense. They showed it in week 1 against Aaron Rodgers, holding Aaron to 3 points. And they show it here, holding the Patriots to 13 points, which isn't that big of a deal because Patriots offense is the reason Tom Brady left. But moving on, we got Carson Wentz plays bad, 194 total yards. And I think he threw like 19 of 37, definitely under 50%. A bad game for Carson Wentz. But it could have been his ankles bothering him, and I would not be shocked, and I would not hold that against him. Okay, we're moving on to 3. Something I haven't done here yet. We're going Leonard Fournette and Jones at running back for the Bucks. They stunk it up against the Rams, which, I mean, I guess you really that's probably the best defense in the league right now. So, I mean, I understand. I mean, you got Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on that defense. It's tough, but they had 9 carries and 19 yards combined between 2 people. And don't forget, Tom Brady was the leading rusher in this game. So that's tough. Okay, Juju, not what we thought he was going to be. Because with him and that Antonio Brown like drama in Pittsburgh, I was kind of rooting for Juju to come out and be the next man, be the next like Larry Fitzgerald or something. And 3 catches, 25 yards, and that's kind of been his stat line this whole season. He underperformed majorly last season, so not really a shocker, I guess, but he's got to step up if these Steelers want to win. Chase Young, is he in the sophomore slump right now? 3 total tackles in the loss against the Bills. That our defensive line in general has got to play better. I wanted to put the whole Redskins defense on here, but cannot allow 43 points. And if you're that generational talent that people say, you have to change this game. You have to stop a couple touchdowns, even forcing plays that I don't know. He's got to play better. This defense has got to play better. But yeah, that's the end of the good and the bad of week 3. Let's move on to the power rankings of week 3. At the end of week 3, your number 1 team is the Rams, the LA Rams. I don't think there's any question right now who the best team is. They have played phenomenal this whole season, which they had kind of a lackluster game last week. But, I mean, they beat the Bucks, beat the brakes off the Bucks. And they deserve number 1 right now for sure. Number 2, I'm hesitant to put, but I'm going to go the Ravens. They did lose to Raiders in week 1, and they, if it wasn't for Justin Tucker hitting a 66-yard field goal, I mean, they're 1-2 right now, but they're 2-1. Arguably the most dynamic offense in the league, I guess Russian offense in the league. I don't think there's any question about that. and I have to put them at number 2, and I don't think they're worse than number 2, but I don't know. It's tough. Bucks are your number 3 spot. I can't put them lower because they've got Tom Brady, and I never root against Tom Brady. The Ravens have proved me not to on that. But yeah, Bucks number 3. I think they'll have a big bounce back game against Patriots. I think maybe Tom Brady was trying to get Patriot ready, and kind of looking forward to his homecoming next week. I don't know. Number 4, the Arizona Cardinals. I had them at, I think, 5 last week. It's tough for me not to put them higher, but they didn't play great against the struggling Jaguars team, and their defense still needs a little work, but I think they're four worthy right now. Number 5, you guys are probably gonna hate me, but I'm going Raiders at number 5. I think the way they've played so far this season is phenomenal. People might be wondering why the Broncos or the Panthers aren't up there. I'll get into why they're not up there, but the Raiders are my number 5. Let's move on to news and questions going forward after week 3. Are the Bucks in trouble? Last week I said no. I said that they weren't in trouble. Everything's fine. They'll get stuff figured out, but I'm not so sure anymore. Mike Evans was visibly upset at Brady and Gronk. Brady has to, like I said earlier, has to start spreading the ball around more. He has to get everybody involved, and he's not. He's going for Gronk when he's in the red zone, which, don't get me wrong, that's stupid not to go for Gronk once or twice a game in the red zone. But when you got people like O.J. Howard, Godwin, Scotty Miller, Mike Evans, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think Brady's focusing too much on the players he brought with him. Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, and Gronk. I think it's not sitting well with that locker room right now, and that's why they lost against the Rams. And they may continue to struggle going forward. Why? We'll just have to see. Moving on. Is Sam Darnold the answer the Panthers were looking for? I'm going to say no. And the reason for that, and this is why I didn't put the Panthers, they're not even a top 10 for me right now. Yes, they're 3-0, I understand, but you got to look at the bad teams they have played. They played the Jets and the Texans. Those are horrible teams. There's no getting around it. I don't see the Panthers being a contender for a few years at least. Do I think it was the best decision for Sam Darnold? Yes. Sam Darnold needed to get out of the Jets. And do I think the Panthers are better than the Jets? Yes. The Jets are not great. And they keep proving that and proving that. And let's move on to the Broncos. Are they a top 5 team? They played bad teams as well. So the people want to just look at the record and the stats and be like, these guys are amazing. They should be in the top 5 or something. It's not true, because you have to look at the opponents. You have to look at the opposition and see who they are playing. You can't just decide to be like, oh, well, this team's good because they're 2-0. No, or 3-0, whatever. You can't look at it that way. You have to look at who they defeated. It's obviously they played bad teams, so their time is probably coming. Especially when they take on someone like the Raiders or the Chiefs. I mean, there's no way the Broncos can stand up to either of those teams. Who is the better West Conference in the NFL? It's such a tough debate right now, because you got the AFC West. You got undefeated Las Vegas Raiders with undefeated Broncos, Denver Broncos. Then you add the Chiefs and the Chargers. Those are 4 great teams. And then you go to the NFC West, and then you have the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, who the Rams are undefeated. The Cardinals are undefeated. Then you have the Seahawks. I don't know. I don't think I can pick. There's five undefeated teams left in the NFL, and two of them are for each conference. This is tough, man. I have to give it to the AFC West. I just think they're a little better. I think the Seahawks are maybe a little worse than the average team right now. Their rushing's not good. Their defense is struggling. But let's get on to the topic of five teams left undefeated. Who's the best? Which I guess with the power rankings, I kind of already spoiled that. It's the Rams definitely, but I mean the Raiders are great, and the Cardinals are looking very good. It's tough. I think the Panthers will be the first undefeated to fall, maybe simultaneously with the Broncos, but I think the Rams have a good chance to go 9-10-0 in this season, which I like I said, I don't know their season schedule or anything, but just by the way they're playing, I mean it's pretty. They're playing pretty fantastic. Okay, let's move on to some college football, man. I love college football. My favorite sport is football, but my favorite to watch is college football. Okay. Moving on to number 12, Notre Dame stomps. And I mean stomps on number 18, Wisconsin, 41-13. This is Wisconsin's second loss to a top-ranked team this season. So they're definitely out of the playoff picture, I would assume, but they did not play great. 31 unanswered points in the fourth quarter by Notre Dame. I mean, what else do you need? 31 unanswered points in a quarter, you're done. I mean, there's no way you're especially the fourth quarter. There's no coming back. And I mean, when you allow 31 unanswered, your defense is very undisciplined. Your team in general is undisciplined. So I want to lean this way just for a second. Okay. Offense did not perform well for Wisconsin. I mean, it's when you only score 13 points in a college game, you're probably not going to win unless your defense is fantastic. And they've already proved against Penn State that they're not a great. Actually, they did play very well against. That's my bad. But you cannot have that perfect of a defense every week. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. And your offense needs to help you, and they did not help at all. Moving on to number 2, Georgia absolutely shows their strength against Vanderbilt, 62-0. Shows that the Georgia defense is the real deal. I'm not saying Vandy's a great team, but they're always an okay team. They're average. So you expect a couple touchdowns or at least a touchdown and a field goal, something, at least double digits. But Georgia said, no, not this game. Their offense was flawless. And moving on to number 6, Penn State stays undefeated as they beat Villanova 38-17. Kind of a lapse in Penn State's defense. 17 points by Villanova. I would not have expected that. But maybe they're just taking a week off. I don't know. Number 17, Coastal Carolina shows they belong in the top 25 by beating Massachusetts 53-3. Coastal Carolina is a team. I questioned it last week, which, like I said before, Massachusetts is not a great team, but 53-3, I would not have expected Coastal Carolina to put up 53 points against anybody. But they're showing that they're a pretty good team. Their upsets, number 14, Iowa State, 31-29. I didn't expect Iowa State to stay in the top 25 very long. They usually kind of get to the top 25-20, and then they bail out. It's kind of happening here, just like Miami. But moving on, number 9, Clemson. Clemson's luck runs out against North Carolina State, 27-21 in double overtime. Fantastic game. Once again, the big story was Clemson's offense not performing like they should. And I said last week I would not be surprised if they lose in the next couple weeks. I didn't necessarily think they'd lose to North Carolina State, but you can't ask your defense to hold every opponent under 10 points a game in this day and age. I mean, when you see Georgia putting up 62, Georgia would absolutely dominate Clemson. Clemson's offense is struggling, and it's clear and evident. Number 5, Iowa escapes Colorado State 24-14. A much better game than you would anticipate from a number 5, but it's Iowa. I don't expect them to be in the top 5 very long. Once they if they take on an SEC team or a ranked team, I think they'll probably go down unless it's Iowa State or something. Number 16, Arkansas, big upset over number 7 Texas A&M, 20-10. Arkansas is here to stay. I saw them play a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, this is a pretty decent team. And if they get into the top 25, they could really start wreaking some havoc. And they've already started by knocking off number 7 Texas A&M. Number 19, Michigan, near scare against Rutgers. Jeez. 20-13. 23, Auburn survives a bad quarterback play against Georgia State, 34-24. So maybe Georgia State's not as bad as we thought, or I thought. But Auburn's struggling right now. Bo Nix, he's been with the team since he's started in college, and I would expect so much more out of a veteran quarterback of the college level, and he's not playing great. I think he threw like 13 of 27, 14 of 27, and he got benched, or I think he got benched. He may have got injured. I'm not sure. I turned the game on late because I was kind of out of town. So, tough pill to swallow if you're Auburn. I mean, this is a guy you're looking forward to and counting on pretty much for this season, and he's kind of disappearing in some games, some big games as well. He kind of shriveled up against Penn State, so it's tough. Number 4, Oklahoma struggles against West Virginia, 16-13. This is one of those teams at West Virginia that they always put up a fight, football or basketball, and they definitely put up a fight against Oklahoma. Another reason why Oklahoma should not be joining the SEC, because a game like this they would lose pretty easily. Okay. Questions and news from college. An unpredictable season. I love it. It's very unpredictable. Teams are getting wiped out left and right. I guess the only predictable one is Bama, and that's every season with Nick Saban. So, not really a shocker there. Is Georgia the only team that can beat Alabama? Speaking of Bama, at this point, I would say yes. I mean, Bama has struggled. Our teams have struggled against Bama, and Bama did struggle against Florida. So maybe Georgia could turn the roll tide over. I don't know. Definitely looking forward to a game. I'm sure they'll probably meet in the regular season and maybe in the SEC championship or playoffs. I'm excited. That's going to be maybe the game of the year. Games to watch going into next week. This is a new segment. I'm proud to announce. I love it. Number 2 Georgia versus number 8 Arkansas. Fantastic. This is going to show Arkansas's real strength and Georgia's real strength. I'm very excited for this game. I'm going to watch every second of it. Number 7 Cincinnati will be taking on number 9 Notre Dame. Very excited for this game too. I know Cincy struggled a little bit early on. Maybe they can pull back. And I know Notre Dame's been kind of struggling with the quarterback situation. I don't like what they're doing, exchanging them in and out throughout the games. I think that is a horrible idea as Tom Landry even tried it in the 70s. We're not getting back into this. Number 1, Bama will be taking on number 12, Ole Miss. Oh, man, Ole Miss likes to pull them upsets against Bama. And maybe they can do it this year. We'll see. Number 10, Florida versus Kentucky. Someone told me that Kentucky was top 25, but they are not, or at least from what I've seen, the app that I use. But I expect this to be a good fight because Kentucky has looked very well this season. I hate Kentucky, but I have watched some highlights and stuff, and they look pretty decent in this season. So I guess we're going to have to see going forward. Number 22, Auburn versus LSU. I know LSU has struggled this season, but so has Auburn. Bo Nix has not played great at all. So, plus when these two teams meet, Tiger versus Tiger, it's what you expect. Tiger versus Tiger, maulings. It's fun. It's entertaining. They always bring it. But let's move on to some early championship predictions for the NCAA football. My early, very, very early prediction, I don't know if I would like it, but Bama versus Penn State. That's who I got in the championship right now. It could change going week to week because this season has been unpredictable and crazy. Somebody could get knocked off like that, like a Thanos snap. But thank you for joining us on this episode, or joining me on this episode of Sports Hour. Please make sure you go check out the links in the description for our socials. We post there sometimes, kind of like the motivation the past couple weeks, but we're getting there. We're getting back. And next week, Anthony will be joining me. He's not too familiar with football, which is why I've kind of held him out for this podcast. But I'm bringing him in next week, and if it's a good podcast, you'll see it. If not, then I don't know. We'll go from there. But make sure you all like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when we are posting. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you love football. It's football season. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. I love it. I love it. I love it. And thank you for joining me on Sports Hour. See y'all later.